Well, howdy, Internet. Behind me, I've got a 2017 Case IH 90C Farmall tractor. Great tractor for the most part, but it's got a def thing. It's been to the dealer a lot trying to figure out the solution to this, and I think we finally landed on something, and it's phenomenally annoying, but at least we've got a solution now, and the dealer doesn't necessarily have to come out every single time we've got an issue. So I'll kind of walk you through what's going on. So this is a tier 4 emissions vehicle, which means it's got that little blue cap and it's got DEF. The fundamental issue that we've discovered is the DEF injector that is in the emission system. It plugs up and it trips a warning code on the dash in the tractor. And if you're lucky, it'll trip just the warning. And then it starts a timer. You know, you've got, I don't know, an hour or something before you need to stop the machine. But usually what will happen is it'll throw that code initially, and you'll keep running it for 10 minutes or so, and the code will clear. When that happens, you have a relatively short window of time to come bring it back over to the shop and clean that injector. And it will continue to go through its testing sequence, and it'll see that everything's hunky-dory again, and you can go about your life, go about farming. If you're unlucky, it will throw the limp mode warning, and you're screwed. You got to wait for the dealer to come out and reset that code, whether you clean the injector or not, because the tractor on a validation restart will be in limp mode, and it will just idle. Maybe a little bit more than idle, but you won't have full power, not enough to mow or do any real work. So I'm going to show you what cleaning the injector looks like. This thing threw the warning last night at, I don't know, about 4:30. I kept mowing for a little bit and it cleared. So this morning we're going to deal with fixing this real quick. And the first thing is popping the hood. If you don't know how to do these, I think ours is broken. I think there's supposed to be a button there. We don't have one. So I use my pocket knife, which I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Oh, there we go. Once that latch is popped, the hood here is spring-loaded. You can lift it up. Good time to clean out your radiators and whatnot. And the awkward part starts here. If I guess you can do it with, that's your injector, so you can do it with leaving this panel on. It kind of gets in the way. The bigger thing you can do to make your life easier is take the loader off, but you have to have the bucket on it to take it off, and I've got the pallet forks on. And by the time I put the bucket on, take the loader off, unhook the hydraulics, all that jazz, oftentimes it ends up just being faster to leave it on. And I'm betting I can't do this with one hand. I don't have a tripod or anything with me, so I'll have to sit you down and pop that off, and I'll get some tools. Make sure you don't lose that wing nut. You'll hate yourself, but I'll be back here in a minute. All right, now since we've got the access panel off, we can get to work in here. There's 2 bolts that cover this bracket. This bracket just exists to protect the DEF injector. These are 13 mil bolts. Very hard to do with one hand. There we go. They're not crazy tight, but it's kind of awkward reaching in there. Let's see if I can get this guy without tweaking my arm here. Or smashing my knuckles. Seems the more likely. There we go. I just keep a magnet tray when I'm doing stuff like this. It's so easy to set a bolt down and lose track of it. But you put it in the magnet tray and everything stays in there. So, DEF injector, I don't disconnect anything from it to do this job. There's it's like a V-band basically that holds this on, and you can see in there if you back off that little guy, basically all the way, this band comes far enough apart that you can kind of walk it back or walk it forward and pull the injector out loose and give it a clean. So I don't remember exactly what size dealio it takes to put in there, but go find something and pop it off. We got a 5mm wrench here, and then the very awkward, tedious process of walking this thing out, which I'm going to set the camera down to do because this is awkward enough as is with 2 hands, let alone just one. All right, now we've got that band loosened up. I ended up just threading the bolt all the way out. You can see it's just a standard little guy. Then you can get in here and open up this clamp and start walking the injector back. Again, this is not a one-handed task very easily. So there's the injector pulled out. The clamp can just stay up in there. And this one's not super bad, but you can kind of see that glossy stuff on there. That's the early stage of this injector plugging up. I don't know why it does it, but sometimes it'll fill this whole kind of cavity with, it'll be like a white crystal material. But I'm gonna go get the steamer and we'll give that a clean and pop her back in. Before I fire up the generator, because we've got no power back here, this is what I'm talking about with the steamer. It's just a super simple deal. I bought it at Menards. It was, I don't know, 20 bucks, but it just sends out a jet of hot steam at the end of this, and that's what we use to clean the injectors. Good clean water in there. It seems to work the treat. I think they call for deionized water for cleaning injectors, but the steam breaks down any crystals, any crud or junk that's builds up on the injector there. So we'll get it fired up and get her clean. All right, well now we got a nice clean injector. We'll let it sit out and make sure that there's no moisture or water trapped in there, but you could see the injector tip is now nice and clean. No gunk, no residue. I don't know if they're gonna make an updated version of this. It doesn't do this at some point, but I'm not keeping my hopes up. But there you have it. It's not a perfect every time fix for a def issue on one of these, but it's been pretty consistent for us, and our local dealer, the service center there, seems to kind of agree with this approach and see if the problem does go away. And if it doesn't, then we'll keep exploring other options. But every single time it's been this. Pull the injector, clean it, put it back in, reset the computer, and she's good for another 2.5 gallons of def through it. So the hope is that if we can demonstrate that this is the problem, the service center can go back and kind of push for a better solution from higher ups maybe. But all in all, it's not a hard job, just kind of tedious, time consuming, not favorite thing, but it's no worse than it takes probably about the same amount of time as greasing the whole tractor and checking fluids and everything does. So we just do it every time the def tank needs refilling. Hopefully this helps some of you, save you some trouble with the dealer coming out, and you can go about farming and not worry about your equipment so much. So thanks for watching.